Hello, good evening, everybody. My name is Dr.Asavari R Manvikkar. I am based out of Minnesota. I am president of Minnesota Ayurveda Association and I am also director of Minnesota Institute of Ayurveda. So, Minnesota Ayurveda Association, it is called as MA. It is a non-profit based out of, it's an organization which is based out of Minnesota. However, we conduct lot of webinars which are completely online. So our reach is throughout the United States as well as Canada. So our institute is dedicated to promoting authentic Ayurveda through education, professional development, community outreach, and advocacy. So we serve to Ayurvedic practitioners, students, educators, community members who are interested into the holistic health and wellness. Our mission is to increase public awareness and also understanding, the deeper understanding of Ayurveda. We support professional, ethical practice of Ayurveda in Minnesota and beyond. We foster collaboration among practitioners, educators, allied health professionals. We promote continuing education and networking opportunities, and we advocate for the responsible growth of Ayurveda in the United States. So we have various membership categories. There are some professional members who are also educators. So there is Ayurvedic doctors, there is Ayurvedic practitioners, health counselors, educators, and other healthcare professionals as well. The other category is student member, and the third category is general member. And you can reach out to us if you are interested into becoming a member. So for the members, we offer various benefits. The professional listing in the online practitioner directory, which is, very helpful for people for connecting and for networking and showcasing what they are doing in terms of Ayurveda as well as the holistic health. Opportunities to present during annual Ayurveda events, continuing education programs and mini classes. There are lots of opportunities which are available for networking, mentorship, and there is also discount on Ayurvedic products and services from participating members. There are various opportunities for volunteers and serve on committees as well. So we welcome to all of you. Today's webinar, Marita will be, talking about one of the very interesting topics. So let me introduce Marita. Marita is our treasurer and also secretary. And she is a Reiki master as well as she has learned Ayurveda for many years. So let me welcome.
Thank
Hi,
you,
Marita.
Doctor. Thank you, Doctor, for the lovely introduction. So today's presentation is on Hasta, Sparsh, Chikitsa, and I will explain a little bit more how it relates to Ayurveda and the Vedic culture. So my lineage and where I learned this is through Shiva, because he is the first doctor, Rudra, in Rigveda, mentioned in Rigveda. So he was the one who brought yoga to everyone also, which is why my business is called Adiyogi Ayurveda, because that's, where my knowledge comes from. So I want to honor him with this. And I'm the founder of Adiyogi Ayurveda, and I'm also the treasurer secretary of MA, like Dr. mentioned. And I'm also Ayurveda practitioner, and I studied under Dr. Asavari as well in school. And I have a various bunch of certifications, and I'm also an energy medicine practitioner, and I'm also doing an PhD in energy medicine, specializing in Egyptian and African energy medicine, as well as the quantum physics of the links to the energy medicine as well. And of course, in my regular life, I have a I have a business degree and an MBA in finance. Um, so I want to start with explanation and breakdown of Hasta, Sparsha, Chikitsa. Hasta means hands, Sparsha means touch, and Chikitsa means something of a treatment. So this is basically the concept of a healing session conducted by a healer facilitates the transfer of cosmic prana. And this is not vata, but cosmic prana at a rapid rate than normal for the body to receive, along with the use of symbols and other tools such as sound, while holding a frequency within, in order to heal the emotional, karmic, and other subtle blocks in the client that are in the state of decoherence and transform them into a state of coherence for the complete balance in the body. The words coherence and decoherence comes from the quantum physics, which is in order and disorder, basically. So I'm going to explain where this comes from. About 100,000 years ago, at least 100,000 years ago, and the earth is like millions of years old, right? So the four Vedas came into being, which is older than the written language, which is, what Ayurveda speaks of is the time 5,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, but there was the real Vedic times, which were more than at least like 100,000 years ago. So that's when the four Vedas came to humans, and that gives basically all areas of life, from architecture to ways of living to grammar, arts, music, everything. So this included Ayurveda and the other healing arts. So, and then this was a time when it wasn't a written language, but oral tradition. Even today in India, there are priests who start off when they're young and they study that, they memorize all of these Vedas, and it's passed on as an oral tradition, just like many other ancient cultures. So, like I mentioned, the first doctor was Rudra in Veda, and Adiyogi means, of course, the first yogi who was Shiva, and he gave yoga and other healing sciences to us. So the background on energy healing, I'm just going to compare the Vedic to other two healing modalities, which are very similar. One is Reiki, which comes from Japan. Other one is Sekhem, which is an Egyptian one. So the both have hands-on healing, and Reiki was introduced by Dr. Asavari after he meditated for 21 days. And Vedic is basically come from, the time of Rudra, Mahadeva, Shiva. So Reiki and Sekhem, it talks about chi, or the life essence that is all around us. And I will explain the scientific part of it at the end. So I'm just going to go through the Ayurveda Vedic concepts first. So in the Vedic, we call it cosmic prana, and both of them uses symbols like Reiki and Sekhem. They both use different symbols. Like one uses Egyptian symbols, the other one uses the Reiki symbols. But in Vedic culture, from what I have studied and learned through meditation and reading and kind of um, my research and my meditations, that is the use of the mudra. So sometimes when I'm meditating, I would just start like using a mudra, and it gives me different areas of activation in my body and things like that, and also the yantras that is used in Vastu Shastra, and I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that, because the universe works with symbols. There's a deeper meaning in different symbols than we are aware, that acts as kind of like a charged energy portal. And both of them use a supreme power which is coming from the universe for healing purposes. And in Vedic culture, it's used alongside with like marma therapy, mantra, sorry about my typo, gem therapy, fire rituals, and things like that, that are used to treat the mind and the spiritual bodies. So this is one place where Atharvaveda praises prana. So it calls it the cosmic wind, and it basically tells you that Ayurveda tells you that prana is life. Prana gives you life. It also is present in everyday life, in everything, and it's also death. All of this, all of our life basically links to prana, and you will know why when I explain it at the end in scientific terms. So this is another place where in Ayurveda it's just praising the the force of prana. So in the simplest form, it's the life force that runs inside of us, the life essence, the chi. So this is what it does. It bridges the gap between the physical body and the soul. So the easiest way to describe this, and this was described by Dr. Crowley, if you take the stove and if you take the fuel, the gas, both of them will not work together without that spark and the air, the oxygen, right? So prana is basically that thing which ignites the link between the two to work together. So that's what it is. And cosmic prana is not only vata, which is the energy of, but it includes the prana and tejas, which is light, and it goes through us from the crown chakra in all over our bodies through the chakras, and it is a form of energy that is within us and that comes from externally also from the universe. In Ayurveda, there are 4 classifications of the healing process. I'm not going to go through all of them. I just put it down as a reference. It goes from the most spiritual, which is like the soul level, to the mental level, to the basic human, like our physical body level, which is like using herbals, medicines, and things like that. So chronic, like this healing, Hasta, Sparsh, Chikitsa goes in between these two majority of the time, but it does help to overall heal the physical body also. So the chakras are basically the there are 7 major chakra points, but the crown chakra is basically the switchboard that is the main place where external prana, cosmic energy, comes into our body. And it kind of like pushes through from the other 7 chakras, but then there are like thousands of other smaller chakras. There's ones in the ear, spleen, everywhere. So these ones take that pushed energy and push it more in the right direction, in the right flow all over our body. So it's flowing properly. And that's how you keep the body clean and take out what's not needed. It's that energy that helps us to flow and the blood to flow, circulate to everything from physical to subtle. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the Ayurveda concepts of vata moving in the right direction, wrong direction, and being blocked and stagnant. So when these places, smaller chakras and places are not working properly or blocked, then that's where all of these diseases kind of comes through. So we also have the aura and the biofield around us. That's like the gatekeeper of our energy that holds our good energy in and then keeps everything else out. So this is another area where energy healing comes handy because it helps to heal and seal off the external energies. And energy healing is basically a practice where all of this stagnant energy is pushed out and good energy is pushed in and sealed. So your body's natural healing process can take effect. There are 6 healing areas. One is the physical body, of course, so external injuries, manifestations of various diseases, unexplainable phenomenons like the diseases that you call syndromes that you cannot really pinpoint as a medical disease, but it's a phenomenon. And you can also use herbs and other treatments along with this treatment, and subtle body treatments that are needed to heal from the root cause. So if something comes from your anger, then that has to be healed to in order to heal what is manifested in your physical body. Mental. So there are mental thought processes that are learned from your family or your experiences, that kind of like something that you learn, and then your real self or your personality also strays far when you are interacting with different social groups later in life, such as schooling, that puts you into like this one type of train of thought. So let's say socially it's acceptable to be rich and a lawyer, for example, versus someone who likes to do art, and that's kind of like, I'm not saying everybody's looked down upon, but that's kind of like frowned upon because, you're not going to get that far in life. That kind of thought processes. So they're restricting to the person. And then typical thoughts that person would have, like positive or negative. Negative thoughts tend to make your brain look for reasons to make them come true. Like if you're thinking of negative things, then you will look for reasons that it would make it true. Emotions also fuel the 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 manifestation process through thought, and there are like wide range of emotions. So sometimes you don't understand all of this wide range of emotions, or you are taught to suppress some of these emotions, like anger, because you don't want people to think of you like a crazy person, or things like that. But there are like healthy ways to do this. But if you suppress it, then becomes a block. Sometimes you are forced into certain behaviors or behaving a certain way that is not you. That also becomes something that you're suppressing because you're suppressing that part of you. Unprocessed emotions is another thing. So the other parts are, these are more deeper and subtle level past lives. There are certain soul imprints that your past lives carry over, and some of them get triggered to the surface, like these phobias or things that you cannot explain. And sometimes the diseases are also a result from a past life memory or experience. So the thing about your soul is that your soul is not able to distinguish between the past lives and this life. So this is kind of a thing that your body will get a trigger and mistake it for something that happened in a different life. It's one of those unexplainable things. Epigenetics. So there are diseases that flows through generations. It's known as bija because it comes from parents at birth. So any of the weaknesses, diseases that are born by your parents, those have a higher chances of manifesting in your body because of the DNA that carries that memories, the DNA imprints. So weak points or diseases will manifest gradually over several generations also. If your great grandparents didn't eat well, and there are certain, like if they have knee pains or something, that's gonna kind of continue as a weak point throughout the different generations. And that becomes embedded in your DNA. So these are another part of healing that the energy healing will help to overcome and gradually reverse. And also another thing is that the family culture and emotional states. So let's say if a family is very fearful of, socializing or certain things, and then their life becomes around that. So then a lot of fear-based diseases will manifest in that family as a result. So another thing is the life lessons. So life lessons are like big things that we come to learn. And it could be something like a karmic manifestation also. So it could be from simple to complex. And typically there are challenges that we have setbacks on. So these can be converted into a positive. For example, if you get a certain type of disease and you you research on how to overcome it. You do your part in eating well and taking whatever the treatments that will help you get better. You convert that, that becomes a positive win in your life. So it could go either way. So energy healing basically helps you to process and understand those so you can overcome these life lessons. So the healing process is basically it activates the flow of universal healing energy, helps to process emotions, to remove blocks, teach the lesson and help the person process the experience, show a new perspective to change mental thought process and how they understand life. And each person has a responsibility to live their life. So healers cannot dictate what's good for them. So it's always good to teach them the logic and let them take away what they need. And also help them see a better perspective of the situation. Like everything happens for a reason, everything has a time and place, and life unfolds exactly as it's meant to be. So basically, through energy healing, you can also talk to them and help them not only get energized, but also like the healing energy flowing through their body and also letting them know so they can get a logical process going in their head. That is the healing of the cause. So when it comes to the quantum physics part and like the scientific part, so atom is known as anu, right? So atom is basically the building blocks of life. We are all created of atoms to molecules to different types of objects. So what atoms what they do is they vibrate, right? Vibration is basically moving from one place to another, constant motion. So the frequency is what determines the types of object because the frequency is how often do you vibrate. The some go slower, some go faster. So that is what is going to determine the type of object that we see. That's how you distinguish. So body also has a biofield that is held together by an electromagnetic force. So that is one of the main things that we're going to talk about because the electromagnetic force is part of prana, the cosmic prana that I was talking about. Again, another aspect is biophotons that are emitted by the body to do the different activities that involve chemical reactions in the body, from a process of intake of food to digestion to where it going to different places in the body for different uses, the different body processes. So that's another part. So universe is also created by electromagnetic forces, and it carries photons, which is one type of quantum particles. Quantum particles are like the tiny subatomic particles that are everywhere. And there are two main types from my research. They're bosons and fermions, and photon is a type of fermion. So photon is basically light also. It can be interpreted as light, which is what I called tejas. So that's that. And then when we go into prana and tejas, the concepts in Ayurveda are called prana, tejas, and ojas. So prana and tejas are ones that are rejuvenated and it can come from outside that will help us become more harmonious within the body. So they are the moving parts, which is the wind energy, the moving motion of vata, and also the heating. Heating part also it causes transformations that causes chemical reactions in the body. So that's the tejas part. So the ojas part comes within the physical body. The physical body is mainly made up of water. And it works with electromagnetic energy and transfers of electric pulses. So the water helps that electric pulses to function. We all know the nervous system works that way through that. So, and also the body acts as the container, which is another interpretation of ojas. So when these three aspects meet, the body goes into that harmonic, balanced state. So without the vata, the prana giving movement, and tejas, the pitta giving transformation and the light, the body has now stagnant places, right? When we deplete these things, when we don't eat properly or some blocks happen, things are not moving properly. There are blocks, there are spaces where it just becomes stagnant. So that's where the energy healing comes. It brings that fresh prana and tejas, electromagnetic forces, and like the photons that helps the body adjust back to the right vibration. So this is another aspect that I learned through research in astrophysics, quantum physics, and then Ayurveda books, not Ayurveda books, but like the Vedic different textbooks and meditation. So the creation of the Pancha Mahabhutas and the Big Bang Theory put together, basically. So the beginning part is where the ether is. That's the state of inertia, vacuum, and then these atoms start vibrating and moving, which is the vayu, the air part. And then they start moving in different frequencies, which is giving now birth to different types of elements, basically. And then these elements they're like the basic states of matter, I would say, right? So and then these particles, as they move, they start to cause friction, which creates chemical reactions, right? And also it also creates the force of electricity. So in Vedic books and in astrophysics, that the force of electricity is important, and it's known as a type of fire. So it causes the electricity, and then, all of these different chemical reactions now at the gaseous state gives uh, birth to the liquid forms. That is the aspect of Jala. And then Prithvi is basically when these gaseous to liquid starts to mass together because of electromagnetic energy. That is the force that makes masses, forms masses. So basically, it starts to harden, and like it starts moving around as a disk and comes together, pulls together, and becomes like this sphere. That's how the planets started to form, and the stars, and these chemical reactions basically started combining these different elements into different objects and things like that. So the because of this, the same way the body is also electromagnetic energy that's held by a lower frequency of electromagnetic energy, because we cannot stand the really high ones, and then there are different electromagnetic types, like the ones like the microwaves and the ones that we use for communication and things like that. So there's a spectrum of it. Okay, so the electromagnetic also, that energy also needs photons and light to operate, among other ones. But the photons are the most important for our body, which is why I'm talking about it. And then energy medicine basically brings this phenomenon, like this cosmic prana, which is this, into the body. So it helps the body get into the right frequency, because whatever the universe is made out of, Earth is made out of, we're also kind of sort of the same material. So all of these things, when we say it flows in harmony and in balance, that means we should be able to be in our right frequency to match that of everything else, so everything works well together, the state of coherence. Decoherence is basically the chaos, and this is a concept in quantum physics, coherence and decoherence, and it also can be explained in Sekhem, the Egyptian energy medicine, in the form of Maat, the universal mother force, the creator force. and Isfet, which is the destroyer force. So every day Maat has to make sure that things are flowing in coherence, because otherwise the energy of Isfet, which is the dissolution, the chaos, the destruction, comes. So it's kind of like making sure that everything is harmonious, because everything in the universe works in harmonics, and they're harmonious. So when we're not in the right place, we don't feel good, we don't feel comfortable, disease sets in, there's stagnancy. So what the healing does is basically that brings that external energy, which has a very powerful effect on our body, because it's fresh, good energy that helps move things along. So basically, it cleans up the waste so the body can flow again in harmony and starts, heals itself. Because if you let that energy come in and let it be, the body has the ability to clean and heal itself. So that is my presentation. So I would like to see if any have any questions.
That was such an informative, excellent presentation, Marita.
Thank you, doctor. My 10 years of research and meditation and learning.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. Really connecting all the dots. And I like the six different healing sessions, or, healing areas where everybody needs to heal. Because, typically people look at more physical and mental, but there are so many other areas or so many different layers where we need to focus on. So that was really amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And also, connecting all these concepts, that was really, really good. Thank you. Yeah. So, anybody has any questions? Kimberly, do you have any questions?
Well, I think I found my people. Um, wow. No, I mean, again, these are all things like as you went through your background, these are all things. I'm a shaman practitioner, I'm a crystal healer, I'm a naturopathic doctor. I had a practice full time in Houston for many years where I did physical hands-on healing, and then try to embrace people to get more into those categories of healing. It was challenging because everybody has this sort of just like, no, this hurts, and it doesn't associate to any kind of emotional or a past life or any of that stuff. So this is absolutely everything that I love and learn, and it was great presentation. I'm excited to network with you guys and learn more.
Yeah, this gives that scientific explanation, because I know a lot of people think that this is not a science, or like it
Oh,
doesn't have anything to do with science. So I really wanted to explore that side. So yeah, because it's very important for us to say that, yeah, this makes sense.
definitely for people who need to get that concept of how they're going to relate to it. Absolutely. Yeah, because a lot of people don't meditate, and so they don't know quantum physics and all the wonderful attributes that are associated with it, and just how you think. How you think is your best medicine. Yeah. So are you a full-time practitioner in Houston then?
I'm a half-time practitioner. I still do my full-time job. So
Okay.
I do have an office here, though, in Wilcrest.
Okay, Wilcrest and one.
Okay, that was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Marita. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. So, again, I am Asavari Manvikkar, Ayurvedic doctor and a president of Minnesota Ayurveda Association. And we do conduct various webinars. So, we will be having one webinar each month. So, I would like to encourage everybody to join us. If you have any questions, or if you are wondering about like what are the next sessions, you can definitely go to our website We also have Facebook. So basically, you can also like, comment on our Facebook, be a part of it, be a part of the community. There is email ID over here, so you can also connect with us through the email. And if anybody is interested into learning about Ayurveda, we have Minnesota Institute of Ayurveda, which is based in Minnesota. And we do conduct various programs for certification as well as for self-healing, which are completely online. So yeah, if you have any questions, do reach out to us.
Can you put these in the chat so that we can click the link?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. I will do that.
Thank you also, Doctor, for giving me the opportunity to speak here and share research.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, here I thought LinkedIn was just not very helpful, but today it has.